Hello, Case for Interwebkaiju here. Today I'm going to be talking about Godzilla vs. Destroyah. Godzilla vs. Destroyah is a 1995 film by Toho Pictures, marks the final movie in the Heisei series, and was intended to be the then final movie in the entire franchise. The film starts off pretty quickly. Lagos Island, where Godzilla was previously living, is now underwater, and soon we are shown burning Godzilla in Hong Kong. City looks great, suit looks great. New beam, the smoke coming off of him, crackling spikes, red eye, glowing chest. So good. It's definitely either my favorite or my second favorite suit. Anyways, he is unstable and going to explode or melt down in the near future, an event which could be apocalyptic. While the humans try to figure out a way to avoid this catastrophe, another monster appears who was created by the oxygen destroyer used in the original Godzilla movie. Kira Ifukube, who I've praised many a times on the channel, but more importantly worked on many of the Godzilla movies, including the original, returns, and the score is, well, it's really good. The movie is here in October because Destroyah looks like a big devil monster. I love his design, and the beam slashes I always found quite cool. The meltdown scene, Godzilla ends up melting down instead of exploding, is beautiful. The score is phenomenal. The cry he does is heartbreaking. I've cried during this scene. Upon rewatching, it's still so effective, one of my favorite moments of the entire franchise. Narratively, the movie also ties in a lot of the original film with a big emphasis on the oxygen destroyer. I've always been a fan of these type of callbacks in franchises as long as it's not repeatedly done. The actress of Emiko from that film also makes a cameo. The pilot of the Super X2 from Godzilla vs. Biollante returns to pilot the Super X3. Just a nice little callback and another sign that the Heisei movies take place in the same timeline. Actors for the General and Miki return as well. A lot of people dislike that Miki was becoming the protagonist of the series and then was sort of pushed back to a supporting character in this one, which is a very valid opinion. Especially since these seemingly would-be protagonists are sort of lackluster. Emiko's nephew is sort of, well, super young but smartest characters are usually off to me. The professor is sort of unlikable just due to him making micro-oxygen and initially ignoring the warning from the oxygen destroyer. Both also come off a little smug. Overall they're fine. I wish the movie had stronger leads, but it mainly gets a pass for me because the big story here is that the world is ending and they need to find a solution to it. And the second story is that big crab monster is destroying stuff, with the characters just sort of pushing that along instead of in the forefront. The possible leads I mentioned earlier aren't even in most scenes. Another main complaint I hear is about the smaller scale Destroyahs fighting the military, which I love. This is really the only time in the franchise where we see this scale of combat. This form of destroyer looks cool, as is their breath. Just look at what happens when it hits this cop. Great. Some of the animatronics do look janky, and that blatant xenomorph ripoff can't be ignored. People hate how Destroyah is killed by the military. I don't know, I never really cared. All of the Super X3 launches go on a bit too long. The G-Force set sort of looks like something you'd see in a kid's game show like Ultimate Guts or something. Not a fan. As with most of the Heisei films, fights are mostly beam spams and sparks, but thankfully there's a lot of gore effects thrown in this time as well. It's not a perfect movie, but the highs outweigh the lows by a long shot for me. And if anything, the biggest thing I'd want to change is that fans would stop arguing if the antagonist monster was strong or weak, and that they'd stop yelling, Destroyah! So that was Godzilla vs. Destroyah. Would recommend. Thanks for watching.
Godzilla's gone.